Yo guys, I hope all of you are doing well today, and I'm looking forward to hear your new music, and I hope that you got some cool music for me this week, and I also hope that everything is working. So I always like to just wait a few minutes, a few moments, so you can give me some valuable feedback if the audio is good, if the voice is not too soft on volume, and then got some fun music coming in already. I see I have a few of you guys have already know and have sent some music in beforehand. Also some new faces, some digital faces. So I'm just already gonna line up the first one, which is a patron, I believe. Let's see where all the patrons are. So as always, the patrons get the first listen. So we're gonna start with Austin, who is being reckless guy with not going via SoundCloud. But hey, because he's Austin, we'll just let him get away with it. So I'm just gonna check if everything is looking okay. It looks quite alright. So I hope you're experiencing this as well. So shall we get on with the first one? The track is called A Visor Forsaken, a work in progress track. So we're gonna hear what this track is all about. Apparently this month we're gonna start really heavy, and I quite like this track. I really like that he set a specific theme for this track, and I like the breakdown. I love the bells, which give it that little hauntingly Halloween kind of feel. Now, coming through the super saws and the leads, I really like what you try to do to get really wide. But one thing I would suggest is to get your reverb and your delay a little bit more under control, so everything is a bit more in your face, so to say. So it's not all really wide and it's not all flowing into the stereo space, but also have like make a specific selection of which sound is gonna do which. For instance, like have a super saw playing one octave, have a super saw layer on top of it, then have one lead being the character, one lead being the white sound, and then add some bass underneath so everything fits together with a compressor. And then try to make the reverb, I'm gonna listen to it real quick again, this part. Yeah, with this one, the bass is already really well done, and I like the compression on the synths, but now the reverb is for me a bit too much over the top at the moment. But I think with some minor tweaks, making it all a bit more crispier, I think you'll create an even better breakdown. Now for the drop, I love the kick. The kick is really powerful. Only would like to see to have some more logical melody going, a melody that resembles a little bit of the break melody, but also is a little bit more of a easier to remember. Now I'm struggling a bit to find the rhythm of the melody and finding where the melody is going. So yeah, that would be my 2 cents for this one. Let's see what else we got here. Do we have some more pages here? Yes, we have here Mior. See what Mior made for us today. And don't forget to give each other a little bit more feedback so you can learn from each other as well. I'll crank up the volume a little bit so it's a little bit louder, so you can all hear all the nonsense that I'm spitting out. So let's see, newer ID for feedback stream. Well, I think this one has really a lot of potential. I really like especially the drops. I really like the first drop where everything has a pretty cool groove. Everything is building up towards that big breakdown. I like the synths that you used. Some parts I would see a little bit less detuning, so you have a little bit of that question response going. So sometimes you have a sound which is really in the middle, then something is a bit more wide, so it's not always the same. When it comes to the breakdown, I think I'm a little bit confused with the arrangement of the breakdown, because I think it has some points in there where I'm like a bit feeling that it could be a bit more intense. Yeah, for instance, like here from this part, from the beginning of the break at 119 until the melody, I think it's a bit too much dragging on at the moment. I think you could introduce some more mysterious elements there to really build it up, and now it's a bit, yeah, for me it's a bit too static. When it comes to the main leads, let's check it again. Yeah, the same, it's difficult for you to listen back the last one, but try to incorporate bass more into your lead layer, so those individual stabs of the notes really hit in your face, and then this will make sure that you have the sound really hitting the crowd in the face, and then the reverb being around it. So really utilizing the technique to make the reverb on a bus, and then sidechaining it to the leads, and have some layers of the lead in the middle, so they really peek through the mix. And then play a little bit with the cutoff settings, with the compression settings, so it's really a more powerful combination of synths. And then yeah, the drop again is also really cool. I really like that it's not your typical big room, but yeah, I quite like it. A really cool approach to the big room genre. Let's see the next one. Sentinel Thomas. Let's see what Sentinel Thomas has made for us. Yeah, my connection is a bit slow today, so you might experience some little drawbacks in the connection, but it's live. What you gonna do? Come on, SoundCloud, hurry up. right, I really like this one. I really like, yeah, let me say it like this. I really like the approach of this one. I really like the melodies, the theme, how everything is built up. I really liked when somebody has their own kind of approach with a track and they're trying to tell their own specific story, and the breakdown is really well done. Now, with this one, I want to go a bit more specific in the feedback, because I can hear all his ideas are great. There's nothing that I would critique on that, but I think the track can be maybe twice as good when we are going into the elements one by one to see where we can improve it. For instance, there's one sound in this whole intro drop which I think would be perfect to be on the first intro kick down. So I'm gonna try to find it. It's like it's a stabby sound which is like plays 2 times in the drop. Yeah. After this part with the synths, there's one little hardstyle stab, which I think has so much impact. And I think if you add that on the first kick of the whole drop, and then every 4 bars or something, then you will have much more of an impact. Because now I feel that this part, when that sound hits, feels like such an amazing impact. And that was what I've been missing a bit in the beginning of the drop, where it should be the most impact. And the same thing is for the other drop. And now, when it comes to referencing, I would reference this track a little bit with like similar tracks, for instance, like with David Gravell or Andy Royale, and really listen to the crispiness of all the individual sounds. Now it sounds a little bit, it sounds really boomy, so to say, but I'm missing those little delicate sounds in there, for instance, like hi-hats or some percussion, which really triggers the ears and to really make it a bit more spatial instead of being only in your face all the time. And then the same thing with the breakdown. I really like all the elements, but try to look with the sound choice of these, of the piano. Look for a piano which has a bit more character. Like if you go, for instance, to the really stupid example, the Burning Piano by Omnisphere has a really cool effect. And you have the Spitfire Audio has like a labs collection where they sell like specific kind of libraries for like $1, which goes then to charity. And they have like one triple felt piano, which also has a really cool, intricate kind of feel, which just sets it apart. And for instance, like try to experiment in the breakdown with like a Reezy neuro bass underneath it. So you really have that bottom going instead of just those orchestral elements. And then the melody, awesome, super job on the melody. But I would also, with this layer, it feels to me a little bit like it's OTT to the max, which has a really cool effect, but try to give it a little bit more character. So yeah, that's, I think the basis of what I'm trying to get across is like all your melodies are great, but the sound choice, try to make them a little bit more unique. You did so with most of the elements in the breakdown, with the little crow that comes, with most of those orchestral melodies, but try to look also in the dance parts to give it a bit more uniqueness, a character, so to say, and a little bit more crispiness to the complete track. So that was my monologue for this one, but I have to say, really love the track and looking forward to hear the final result. So let's see, we got Cracked as a patron still. Let's hear what Cracked made. Yes, the Giant from Native Instruments, also really cool. Alright, we're gonna do now a festival mix of Giant by Cracked and Arctic K. Let's hear it. Okay, use tip from your last feedback stream and made the shit loud. Alright. Then we're gonna play it on a really silent volume.
It was. Saw the pills on your table for your unrequited love. I would be nothing without you holding me up. Now I'm strong enough for both of us, both of us, both of us, both of us.
cool track, cool festival mix. I really like how you layer the leads. The leads are really clear in the mix and they work really well with the vocal. I also really like the plugs that you use, the melodies that you've chosen. Now the drop, I think the melody for the drop is great as well, but try to look for a bit more aggressive kind of sound. I actually got a preset which is similar but has a little bit more of the grittiness in the new March pack as a Serum preset. So if you're a patron, check that one out. But there, you probably, when A-Bing with other tracks, you can hear the difference to make it a little bit more. Yeah, with these kind of sounds, it's great to add a little bit of distortion and detune a little bit more than you would usually do in a super saw. And a great tip to create those really characteristic sound is to. Actually, I'm gonna do a video on that because it's pretty hard to display now really live. So keep you to it, but. Yeah, I think overall really great track. I think it does what it needs to do. The melodies are really well produced, and this will definitely, with some little tweaks of Still Now, will really work on the dance floor. So that was that one. Let's see. All right, I think they were the patrons, right? I had that one. Now let's start with the first one, which has been sent by SMH. Let's see what he made for us today. SMH and Bangmakers ID. Let's hear it. Guys, cool revealed kind of track. I really like that unique thing that you did with the breakdown where it goes to that more Moombaton kind of genre. What I would love to see is to have that part where you introduce the Moombaton and the part beforehand to have a little bit more a distinctive element or melody, so it's a bit more easy to remember. So when thinking about the tracks, for instance, like with Armin and W&W, they all have really simple melodies, but really easy to remember melodies. And now this one, I kind of already forgotten what the melody was, but the idea is really cool. So look into that's something to definitely look into. I really like that main synth that you have here, that main melody synth. It just has that little cool character, which doesn't make it like a really typical superstar synth, but just gives that little glide or chorus effect, which I really like. And then you have like one, because I'm such a music nerd, There's one sound here which I think is the most coolest sound I've heard today, is this one. That impact is really dope. So yeah, the drops, yeah, it's really that cool revealed kind of drops which I like to listen to. And then yeah, try to look a bit for that distinctive, perhaps like a vocal melody or like a melodic thing in the break, so you really have a thing that people can easily remember, so they can all play along on the dance floor. Let's see, what shall we do? Shall we go a bit random? Let's go for Tom Hines. I never seen this name in the stream, so let's see what Tom did. Let's see, first track from my EP, which will be coming out soon.
Try no more to pretend that you've been always like before. You've been always nothing. You've just opened my door, and I see you coming, 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 coming,
A lot happening in this one. I really like the break, how the atmosphere is set, and what I'm hearing, like I like the melody, I like how everything is flowing into each other. I have a few issues with this one. Is that one, I have to recheck if I'm hearing it correctly.
you've just opened my door.
Yeah, the vocal isn't like really well on the beat right now, so some stretching would really benefit this vocal to really get it to hit every time on the beat. So now it's a bit off the off beat, so to say. It's not really that on what you want with this kind of vocal. So I would really look into to get the vocal just fitting right on the, yeah, well, how do you say it in English? Just on the beat, and not like, I don't mean every time, but it needs to really flow on the right BPM and right placement. Now it's a bit off, and it catches me a bit off guard, not in a good way. Now I really like how you combine the kick with the offbeat bass, like the interaction between the two. But I think the offbeat bass and both the kick could have a bit more, especially the offbeat bass, have a bit more clarity, and that's also something that I hear throughout the track a little, that some sounds sound a bit too much squished together, and they're not really peeking through certain parts of the mix. It's really great if you make for yourself like how do you say it, an idea, a setup where you think, all right, these sounds are playing in the high frequencies and the idea wide. This sound is playing a little bit to the left, to the right. This sound is really has a lot of reverb, not so much reverb. I always say it's a bit like when setting up an orchestra, they always have them not setting all the time on the same spot. They divide it on the room, and one plays louder, one plays less loud. So yeah, that was something that would be something I would look into. And overall, I think you've wrote that it's already going to get released. For the next one, try to just dive a little bit deeper on the details. Yeah, that's it for me for this one. So here a question regarding, yes, Game of Thrones Season 8 is coming. I can't wait. And I'm going to watch the Season 7 back real quickly. So I'm, again, back at it. Will there be a Rise of the Mad King 2.0? Yes, I will be working on a new Rise of the Mad King album, but it will be not this year, probably next year, the year after, because I really, it was really a lot of work, and I think it's good to first work on some new original music. So I got 4 tracks signed for this year, one of which is coming real soon. And then of course the album is coming soon in a really cool hard copy version, so that's coming all to you. Let's hear what Sambrand Maharaj, sorry if I butcher your name. I should just put that in the video. I will butcher people's names. Chronicle, that's more easy. Hey guys, it's the demo we're gonna give a lot of effort to. I dearly hope you like. Alright, let's hear what Chronicle made. Cool artwork in anyways.
Heartbroken dudes, breakups make you suffer sure. I've got this taste too. Damn right. Gotta share my experience too, boys. Listen up. Yo fellas, getting annoyed but you noise. Fuck it came to your life like a destroyer. In the end when the destiny arrives, right? A fucking hubby calls you his empire. Hypocrisy at its best. Why remember all that desperation? Oh no. Had remember all that flirtation. Now it doesn't change the fact that I want your damnation. Had to dig up secrets by spine. Got your red hat which left me corrupt. To the vengeful. Fuck it came to your life like a destroyer. And the end I want your damnation. Had to dig my it's a rise up, shine up.
This one got a really cool atmosphere. I really like how dark it is, but for this one I really don't like the vocal, to be honest. I think the English pronunciation is it's a little bit like mine. It's not always there yet, and yeah, because of the vocal I'm getting a bit lost when listening through the whole track. I really like this section though. I really like the melody in this one. But yeah, try to look for this one a bit more into the arranging and how to build it up and try to make those kicks a little bit more than just a big distorted 808, but have some clarity in there as well. So that will be my overall tip for this one. It's a little bit hard for me to critique because it's pretty much a lot of the same when it comes to arrangement. And yeah, the vocal is almost everywhere, but I think the vocal is, yeah, it's not doing it for me, unfortunately. And there were some people in the chat who just sent their stuff in, which were patrons. So let's hear it from Ambrose. Got you. I got you, Ambrose. It's all good.
wishing for something that ain't blue. And you got sick of the motion, hoping the fish would come to you. No, we never choose. Always wishing for something to come true. What can you do when baby you know love got you?
Alright, I really like that stab synth that you have on those drops. I think it's really has that really, and it also due to the melody, which is really great, but the sound itself is also really snappy and really distorted, which I really like. For the kick, I quite like the kick, but I think there's one thing that that's missing here is that you do some LFO automation or some envelope automation, because now it feels like the tail of the kick is playing all the way throughout the whole quarter bar loop. So what you want to do is actually to have the kick to have a starting point and an end when it comes to the tail. So LFO tool is really great for that, so you can really draw in that it starts, so when the punch is hitting there is not a lot of tail, and it comes in and then it fades away in the end just before the kick starts that whole section again. If you combine that and sidechain it just a little bit, that tail of the kick, you will notice that everything will get much more power and much more grooving into there. Let's see the breakdown. I really like the breakdown. Vocal is simple but really cool, does the job. What was the melody again? Yeah. The main melody I really like, but I think some better sounds would fit this melody better. And it's not for me to say which sound that should be. You could go for like a more uplifting feel with a lot of super saws, but you could also go for a more darker feel with a more distorted synths. But now these synths are for me now a bit all over the place. So what I would suggest is to look for one main synth, one character synth, and one super saw, and then add a bass line underneath that, and then you will see you get a more easy mixing procedure, and it will sound much more like a unique melody. But other than that, really cool track. Let's see the other late boomer, what he sent to us today, and then we're gonna go back to the other people. Okay, but he has a valid excuse, sort of. That heroic lead worked really well on this one. I really like how you worked that main melody in there. I think it's really unique, and it's just easy enough to follow for me to remember it by, and I think the leads are really well done. The drops are really dope. I really like the acid sounds in combination with all those different super saws. The sub bass could use a little bit more tweaking in the EQ settings, and perhaps use a little bit of multiband compressing to really bring the sub and the kick a little bit more together. So you're basically going to take a little bit of the punch of the kick so the sub can get a little bit more power in there. And the only thing you will probably notice me scrolling through the breakdown, and that's never a good sign, because I think the breakdown is now a little bit, it lacks that sound, that melody, or that that element that keeps it together and gives it that unique flavor, which makes the listener keep listening. Because now we have a really dope melody, a really dope drop, but the thing in the middle is a little bit more exciting. But nonetheless, a really great job. So let's see which one we're gonna go next. Let's see. Which one shall we do? Let's do Friend. Friend. Cosmo. This one's fun. Banger, this one. Yeah, again, for this one, the breakdown, I would try to add something a little bit more unique to that. But I think the drops, for the purpose of what this track is trying to do, are really dope. If I was to critique something in the drop, is that the mixing of the punch of the kick is a little bit lacking. Now I feel like it's almost like you did a high cut on the kick, so it's not too bright. But I think that little top kick could really enhance it. So perhaps look into like a cashmere bag or something and layer it with a top kick. Damn, I'm sucking at English today. Yeah, for the leads, I quite like the leads, but if they could be a little bit more clean, like still keeping the distorted feeling, but have like a little bit less of distortion, I think you can, because you already have that distortion from the bass and the kick, I think you don't need that much distortion on your synths. So with the whole combination of the track will be a bit more sounding like it's a little bit more well produced, like when it comes to technical terms. So yeah, try to look a bit more in the breakdown to make this a little bit more exciting. And then yeah, I really like the power of it, but try to improve on the individual sound. For instance, like the kick and the top of the kick especially, and the main leads. Ciao. Let's see what Josh made. If I can select it. Yes. Josh, what have you made for us? Let's see. Bang. Another one bites the dust. Come on, connection. that's a lot. Yeah, I quite like a lot of the sounds in this one, but as a track, I'm finding it a little bit hard to follow or something because there's so much happening. I really, when it was beginning, I was like not sure where it was gonna go, and then when it started, I thought, yeah, that's really cool, a little bit with that, almost like that jungle kind of feel. But then you do something pretty strange in the bass line. You go up like in an octave or something, and that takes a bit for me away of the track. So, but I think when listening to like the beginning of this drop here, with the proper bass line, that could be something that's really well, that could be really well received by the audience to really go nuts. But I think afterwards you keep adding stuff, and going in different direction. I think for this one it would much be better to just add a breakdown or something in between, to just so that the people who are dancing and jumping can catch a little breather and then come back. Because I always say when you have those high points, it's really important to have some low points afterwards as well, because then you can come back to a high point and it will have much more impact. So yeah, that will be my tip for this one. Let's see. Which one haven't we got today? Where is... Let's try Hydron, because I like the name. Boot Camp. Let's see what Boot Camp is doing. Okay, let's scroll a bit forward. Yeah, for this one I really like that revealed kind of drop. I think the kick and the bass in this one is really well produced. It's not overly compressed and overly boosted in volume. It just sounds where it needs to sound. And yeah, the thing, if I would have to critique something for the drop, it would be purely how do you say, personal taste. I always like to have my kicks with a little bit more high frequencies, but that's up to you if you want to do that. With this track, it's the same thing as I said with the previous one. This part here is really cool. But because there's so much happening before that in this section, there's a lot of... It's already building. I think this part, that main part here in the breakdown, has much more impact if the part before there was a bit more silent and not too much things happening. Because again, contrast in the music will give it that more power and that more impact on the dance floor and everywhere. So that's my response on that one. Let's see what Revio has made. Revio has made for us today Anti. that last drop really caught me off guard, and in a really good way. I think the last drop is really the selling point of this track. Now, I really like the piano melody. I think that's really well done, and yeah, it's a little bit of the tendons of this feedback stream. For this one, I would always also say, like, try to find something which makes that breakdown a little bit more unique, especially because it's really long. For this one, I even could see like a full-on vocal. And technically, I would really look into how the kick and the bass and the leads behave when it comes to the frequency mixing. And it doesn't just sound like a really expensive word, but it's just basically EQing. Because now it's all fighting a little bit with each other. The kick is punching pretty well through, but I think that in your bass and your synths are a little bit clashing in the mid-low frequencies. So I would really like pile them, listen to them one by one, and really check which one needs to do which thing. So if you already have a really big amplified or a really big super saw, you don't need that in another sound. So every sound can do their own thing in the mix. And it's always good if it doesn't matter if one sound on its own will not sound as powerful as you might want, because if you're gonna layer it with other sound, they will fill in those gaps. So that will be my tip for this one. Let's see which one we're gonna do next. Matt Alvarez. Let's see what Matt made for us. Cool groove in the bass line. It's really fits that Indian theme really well, and I was quite caught off guard with that one, but I really like how you went about that drop. And yeah, for me personally, I don't necessarily like those Indian melodies, but that's personal taste, so I wouldn't critique you on that. But I think, yeah, that drop really has a lot of potential. As you can see with this kind of drops, less is definitely more. It's just like an Indian instrument with a bass line, a kick, and then that sound, that super saw, which I think works really well together. I gotta listen a little bit back because I didn't really, I couldn't really understand the vocal though, what it was saying. Could be me, but... yeah, I think this part would also really, if you listen to those Vinny Vici and W&W track, if you're going for that kind of thing, make sure that it really gives that stadium feel. The thing with, for instance, like We Will Rock You by Queen is a great example. They also do that with those drums and those epic kind of feel, but it's really simple and really, you can make it really atmospheric, but keep the main elements really simple, the melody really simple, so it's not dragging on too long, because then those drums won't have as much of an impact. Alright, let's see which one we're gonna do next. Let's see, we're gonna check out what Montage made for us this month. Okay, extended is too much extended. Ah, I love the original. Let's see what you made. I didn't even see that when you said cut it for...
On fire. Somebody pass me the water, 'cause I'm burning.
Yeah, cool tune, man. Really liking the melodies. I really like that the drop has their own unique melody. The main melody works really well with the vocal. I heard a few things here is what I really that main synth comes through really well. But I think if you go for an approach where you have some chords laying underneath it, but I think if you add some superstar which really goes with that main melody, it will be a little bit more in your face. So it's not just that main synth, but more of those specific superstars to really build everything up. And then the drop I really like. With this one I hear the same thing when it comes to the tail of the kick. It's like a little bit too long and a little bit too static. So try to work with an LFO tool to really get that kick to specifically the tail of the kick, to really give it a little bit of a unique twist, so it's a bit more bouncy. Yeah, the leads and the melody is really dope. And yeah, I think whenever you start working on those kick and the bass, you will also hear when you dive deeper in it, there's some little issues between the two. So, but all in all, really cool idea, really cool remix. Let's see, what time is it? I'll do one or two. Let's see. Dashin. Let's see how it feels.
Get your hands up. Get your hands up.
Again, cool track. It reminds me a bit of a fusion between Revealed Songs and Maurice West, which is totally fine. I really like how you mix the kick and the bass together with the leads and the drops. I think the drops, yeah, they're not specifically my cup of tea, those Revealed drops, because they get done a lot, but you've done it really well. It's really well produced. When it comes to the melody, I really like the thing that you're doing, like having a little bit of A section and a B section. But when the B section comes in, that you have a really cool, what's it called, a really cool characteristic lead. But that super saw in the back is like a bit too loud in the mix, because that takes a bit away from the the A section, B section flowing into each other. So we'll look into that. And then again, the section from the beginning of the breakdown and the second 8 bars of the breakdown where the vocal is playing with those drums, I would make that go a little bit more, have a little bit more of energy change, because now it's a little bit all on the same energy, and that's why that second part doesn't have as much power to me. Now, I'm going to do one more today, because it's time that I have to go. Let's see which one I haven't seen yet. Martin Michi is going to be the last one. And then we'll be back next month with a lot of new tracks. Let's see. Really cool lasso feel in this one. I really didn't know where it would go from the beginning. At first I thought it was a really more subtle deep house tune, but the breakdown was really well crafted. Now for the sound, in the drop they sound pretty cool, but in the build up to the drop it sounds a little bit dated. Like, I don't mean it sounds a bit harsh, I think, when I say dated, but it could have a bit more uniqueness, because that sound is like that 2012 progressive house kind of style. So it would be cool if you could add some more 2019 twist to it. Okay, let's do a few more then. Let's see. Thomas Heisenhuber, or I believe he's from Germany. Let's see what Thomas has made. In this one, I like in the main melody, and I think it does a really cool kind of flow. It really keeps you dancing. For this one, again, for the breakdown, I would love to see a bit more interesting things happening. Now it's it's not announcing something that's really unique to my ears, at least. Might be a little bit picky, but yeah, I would like to see some more interesting things happening in the breakdown, because I'm a sucker for good breakdowns, and this one for me a little bit too simple. But I really like the main melody. I think it works really well. When it comes to the mixing of the kick and the bass, it could be a little bit more improved. Now they sound a bit too mushy with each other. But other than that, cool tune. Let's see, we got here Debayit Gua. I'm not even gonna try it. Which is Elixir. I'm a hobbyist, I mean just for fun. That's always the idea, to do it for fun. If you're not doing it for fun anymore, you can better stop. Let's hear it. That was intense. Really cool melody, man. I really like the kick as well. It's for me almost impossible to critique on hardstyle kicks because I have no clue how to do them. I'm trying to learn a bit from Michael Face. He's teaching me a little bit on the aspects of hardstyle kicks, but I'm nowhere near this kind of kick. Now, for the main lead combination, I would like to see some more bass frequencies added into it. Now it sounds a bit hollow, the main lead, and I mean that in a way that I'm missing that mid-low and the mid and the low frequencies to really give it that body. And the main synth is a bit too much detuned. It's like the famous song by the Thrill Seekers. I don't know the name and on the back of my head, but I would like to see a bit more, less detuning, a bit more clear sound so the melody comes up even further. But nonetheless, great track so far. Alright, now I'm gonna do one more and then I'm gonna go. Let's see, 9 Lives, Simon. Let's see what Simon made. Now, this is a perfect example of how you should layer your kick and bass when it comes to progressive house. This is really well done. The kick has a lot of high-end frequency. The bass and the kick are working harmoniously together. And I really love the beginning of this main melodies line when it starts, I think here. Really has that hands in the air feel, like the sun is coming through the clouds. And yeah, afterwards there comes another synth in there, which for me a little bit too too harsh in the mix. Perhaps it's because it's like a bit too loud, or it has a bit too high end and mid-high frequencies. But yeah, other than that, I think it's a really solid track. I would personally, but that's something that I keep noticing going back to. Like the second breakdown, they have a bit more interesting sounds coming up there. But overall, really well produced track. And last track of this month. But I thought, because I'm critiquing all you guys, perhaps it's cool if I show you guys work in progress by myself, so you can hear how bad my music will sound at the beginning of a process. So I've actually been working on one new track. Let's see if I can find it, which is like far from done, but I thought it would be fun to end these monthly streams with like a little work in progress, so you can see that when I'm working in music, it's always, there are a lot of problems in the track. For instance, this one, I'm having a piano section which will be removed in something which is more musically pleasing, which has more tension building. But I always use the piano as a placeholder, and I really like it to set a tone for a track. So there were still a lot of holes to fill with this one, but I thought, now you guys can critique me. So this one is called Arabic Idea. It started as an Arabic kind of song, but then I found this really cool vocal, which I think it's not Arabic anymore, but let's hear it.
Yeah, I was born to be a siren. And I was born to be a siren. Be a siren. Be a siren.
Alright, that was it for this month. I hope you enjoyed this little work in progress, and it still needs a lot of work, but we'll get to this tomorrow or something. I really enjoyed your music this month again, so looking forward to hear you guys' music next month. And like in 3 hours, in like 6 o'clock today, the new patron packs came online. So for you patrons, check it out. I made a really cool new track. I made some cool samples with my modular, some presets, MIDI, all kinds of good stuff. So for now, I really hope you have a great evening, and I'm gonna get some chill time. Take care, guys.